Hello, and welcome to the Next Minute podcast, where love outlives loss. I'm your host, Sean, and as always, we'll be talking through stories of grief, mental ill health, struggles with obviously my own background with PTSD, anxiety, depression. Generally, just sort of discussing how we can sort of survive, move forward, and strive through those struggles that we all face. Now, if you're joining us and watching on Spotify or YouTube, what you'll probably see over the last 3 weeks is I'm just getting hairier. So the plan is to have a shave, sort myself out, but it's just literally been non-stop the past few weeks. The kids need haircuts. I'm well overdue one, but there's just been a lot going on. One of the big things for me has been getting moving forward with setting up a CIC or a community group with my friend Claire. Now, Claire I met through a webinar that she did with Andy's Man Club, and it was around sort of anger management and her work in NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming. And I started seeing Claire, I think it was back in March, when I was struggling with my own mental health, largely just feeling like I wasn't being a good dad at the time. I had a lot of issues with negative self-talk, which I touched on in one of the earlier episodes. And Claire just helped me sort of work through that. She helped me to realise, that I wasn't all these things I was telling myself that I was. I wasn't being a bad parent, I wasn't being a bad dad, I was just working through some stuff. And what she kind of got me to do was sort of take a step back, look at me and sort of my scenario from the outside, and then kind of look inwards. And it was only through those sessions and doing that I realised, actually, it's more in my head where I see that I'm being a bad parent. I'm not actually being a bad parent. And we've obviously just both realised that there's a deeper need for something to support men with their mental health. Obviously, we met through the webinar at Andy's Man Club. Obviously, I've got a strong affiliation with Andy's Man Club. I've been going for maybe 2.5 years, close to 2.5 years now. And I go there religiously. It helps me. It gives me a place where I can go. There's no judgment. There's no pressure. For me, the big thing is it's an outlet. Whereas before I lost Taylor, I would go. I'd play football. I'd be able to go out more. See friends. I did boxing for a little bit. I was able to do things more regular where I had an outlet. So I always kind of joke at Andy's Man Club when we're doing our introduction. I'll say, if I was having a bit of a crap week on the Friday or the weekend when I was playing football, I'd probably just go in a little bit harder on a tackle or something like that. And that was kind of my way of just letting some frustration out. Now, generally, I don't really have those outlets anymore, or at least not. I'm not practicing them as much as I should be, or I'm able to. So Andy's Man Club gives me that constant each week where I can get those frustrations out. I can talk, I can open up. The big thing there is seeing the other guys nodding, because they're going through something similar, or they've at least got similar feelings, and having that reassurance that you're not the only one. And in some cases being able to get advice back from them as well, in that peer support, where they kind of say they're feeling the same, or they've experienced something similar and this is how they work through it. And that's the beauty of the group. Now, what me and Claire are looking to set up, we've called it MetaMem. The idea of this group is it's going to be more outdoors, so we're not going to be in a room, or for the most part we won't be in a room. It'll be a case of being outdoors, maybe doing something active. So we've had some early ideas of maybe having like an allotment, and use that to obviously grow fruit, veg, flowers, and use it as an opportunity to give back to the community as well. We've talked about doing, regular walks. And one of the big things is going to be day retreats or retreat weekends. So, with the purpose of getting men there, talking through, having like a theme for a day, whether it's anger, stress, loneliness, whatever it may be, having a bit of a theme for the day, and get some men, invite them down, or they sign up. We'll have like a workshop, so they'll come in. We know roughly what they're struggling with, and then we'll have different workshops through the day to sort of work through, give them that opportunity to get stuff off the chest, what they're struggling with, but then use the day as an opportunity to also give them the tools to cope, and to work through those struggles. So it's not a case of just getting stuff off your chest. It'll be a case of you get stuff off your chest, but then you leave with the tools to manage it going forward. And that's where we want to get to with MetaMen. Is it's going to be there to support you, but it's going to give you the tools to support yourself and work through that storm or whatever you're struggling with yourself as well. The timing of it, like I said, it's been a hectic couple of weeks. I had my 6-month probation at work, which I passed, thankfully, last Wednesday, I think it was. And I've also started a new training course, which is children and young people's mental health. I mentioned that before, I think, and my main purpose for doing that is to allow me to support the kids more, to have a better understanding of maybe what they're going through or how I can support them with what they're going through, and maybe to help me anticipate what they'll be going through as well, get that understanding where I can be a bit more prepared, if they do start to struggle or, if something comes up. So that was my main sort of driver behind starting that course. And also it's the 4th of October now, so on Monday it'll be mine and Taylor's 5th wedding anniversary. So I've obviously got plans for that, where I always go and get a Starbucks, which I've talked about as well. I'm going to take the kids out tomorrow, so that'll be Sunday. Get the Starbucks, go have a day out. I mentioned to, I think he's still awake, that's why I've shut the door. And the dog's just walked in and opened it again. I mentioned to Elijah about me wanting to go for a walk tomorrow. Just an opportunity to clear my head, take the dog out, and see if he'd be alright. Well, dropping him and his brother off at my mum's, just for a couple of hours. But he got a bit upset, didn't want me to leave him. And obviously I mentioned the last episode that he's been really struggling, and that's been quite consistent over the last week, I'd say. Been 4 or 5 nights where he's struggled and he's cried in the night, about missing his mum, and then he's done it once or twice in the mornings as well on his way to school. So I spoke with his school about it, giving them advice and what I found works for him, what he says will help him through it, and I've given those suggestions, but I've just said to him basically, if he feels like he's struggling, just speak to him. He's very switched on in terms of what helps him, and I got a message about lunchtime on the day I dropped him off and he was struggling, and they basically said they'd had a chat with him. He was really good at explaining what was going on and his emotions, and they've got some plans in place in school to support him as well. So but yeah, it's been a struggle this past week with him. Not necessarily say anything that wasn't unexpected, but I've said on the last one it was the first time he's properly sobbed, really had a good cry about his mum, and that's what all 5 instances I think there are. Have all been like, it's just been really, deep cries where you sort of can't catch your breath, you can't break it, and I've just found just letting him get it out, just cry through it. That's kind of what I've had to do with these, and then when he's ready, we'll have a chat. Now, what I found different over these like several episodes is it's not been one thing that's supported him, or well, not supported him, but got him out of it. There's been a few different things. I think on the last episode, I mentioned just bopping him on the nose, which is something his mum used to do. Now, I've obviously not tried to do that again, but there's been different things I've tried that haven't really worked. And he actually said tonight, because he had another spell tonight, and he actually said on sometimes when he's crying, he'll tell me, or he'll stop, just so it makes me feel better. So I had a good chat with him. I obviously said like he doesn't have to stop until he's ready to stop. And I can't remember which film it was. I think it was The Fault in Our Stars, where it says that pain demands to be felt or something along those lines. And I suppose that's not just physical pain, but mental pain as well. And I've always thought that since I heard it, that that pain does demand to be felt, and I think you can't hide it, and you can't suppress it because it's just waiting to surface again. So I've explained that to him, just make sure that he doesn't have to pretend he's doing better than he is for me, or he's feeling better just to make me feel happier or feel a bit more secure that he's okay. So yeah, like I said, it's been really difficult. He didn't want me to leave him for the walk, but he also didn't want to come for the walk either. So I said what we'll do, we'll just have the morning together. This past week he's really got into gaming, but gaming with me. So he's playing like a couple of games. We've been on a couple tonight. So I've said what we'll do tomorrow is we'll just have a day gaming if you want. It's just me and him. Obviously we've got Cora in as well, so when we're playing certain games, Cora can join him. But at the minute he's more bothered about just doing his own thing. But he has asked for an Xbox for Christmas, so that's going to be interesting when all three of us are trying to game. I can already hear the arguments now. But yeah, like I said, it's just a matter of finding it, what helps him, what works for him. But I'm also cautious that, I felt like I needed to do something on my own to sort of process, the anniversary coming up, because it is these days before where it feels the heaviest. And there's a lot of memories and emotions that obviously go hand in hand with it. And the walk for me was my way of kind of doing something to process it, let those feelings, those emotions, those memories sort of run through me. But I'll figure something else out. I'll maybe have a moving out with the kids or something like that. But we'll work it out. I've got Andy's Man Club on Monday, so that's obviously going to be a big thing, a big help. But usually on the day doesn't end up being too bad. Taylor would hate the fact that this has happened after she's died, but the Starbucks has opened up around the corner from us, so literally, I can get an Uber to deliver one, that's how close it is. The kids have started going there. I've been a couple of times after school. We've not been able to get a seat so far because it's quite a small one. But we've been in. Kids usually get like a hot chocolate, about 34 snacks. But that's probably what we'll do. We'll go there after school on Monday. We'll get the paper cups again. Because last time for the anniversary of Taylor's death, we went to Starbucks like we always do. But the kids were drawing on the paper cups, drawing like messages and pictures for Taylor. So we'll do that again on Monday. It's a nice tradition that makes me feel better, and it's obviously something that's close to all our hearts. With that connection with Taylor. But yeah, I can feel it these last few days where it's just weighing heavy. Just the anticipation of the anniversary. And it's got to a point where at the minute I can't look at pictures. I've done it with Elijah, but I've focused on pictures of him and Taylor on purpose, just because there's been a couple through, obviously looking at those with Elijah and Taylor, where there's also been pictures of me and Taylor, and they, I don't know why, but they always, at the minute, they just catch me off guard. Like I'm not ready to see them, which in my head, like saying it out loud sounds weird, because most of the time I'm fine looking through them. But obviously these last few days, with the anticipation of the anniversary, it's just everything just weighs a lot heavier. And it's weird because I know it's coming. I know these days are harder than the actual day itself, but you still can't shake that feeling. You still can't get rid of it. You just, like I said earlier, you've just got to kind of feel it and just kind of let it pass, and where you can just give yourself that space and that time to allow it to process, I suppose. But yeah, other than that, I've not really got anything planned. I've got Starbucks, but I'll be working through the day, so that'll hopefully keep me distracted. And then straight after that, we've obviously got school run, Starbucks, then I'll be at Andy's Man Club, so I'm hoping it's just going to be a busy day, time to reflect. I'm at Starbucks, I'm going to use that specifically as the time, and then obviously at AMC to sort of open up and if I need to get stuff off my chest. I think what I did last year, like I said, on the day, it doesn't tend to hit me as hard as it does as the days leading up to it. I think last year I just used my time at AMC to just tell the guys about Taylor, which I thought was nice. It was more just telling people about her rather than sort of saying how I was feeling about losing her, how grief was impacting me at the minute, and that, like I said, that worked. It was nice doing that. The day itself wasn't as hard. Maybe that's how it'll be this time. But what I will say is as hard as I've said these days leading up to it I know I've dealt with them a lot better than I have done previous years. Probably for different reasons, but I think knowing that I've got AMC on Monday, knowing that I kind of know how to sort of cope and process what's going on. Like I said, having that time for a walk, I'll find another way of doing what I need to in terms of processing the feelings. But I definitely know I've felt more prepared, which has helped, especially with the way Elijah's been able to sort of cope with this last week or so. But yeah, it's been eye-opening being able to reflect on the last, obviously the last few years and doing this podcast. has obviously helped me loads. But seeing where I was even just a year ago, 2 years ago, to where I am now, being able to talk about it, being able to share these experiences, hopefully some of it's been able to help others. But this one's going to be quite a short episode, just because I feel like I know I could probably just ramble on. I do have a lot of stuff inside that's sort of bubbling away, but it's a matter of, for me at the minute, just sort of getting through these next couple of days. And I know Monday will be fine. Like I said, we've got a couple of plans for the day. Hopefully it just runs through. Got a lot of exciting stuff coming up as well. Obviously with MetaMem, setting that up. That's going to be pretty big, I think, for myself and Claire. I'm going to get Claire on the podcast. I think it would be interesting. I've not asked her yet, so if she's listening, this might be a bit of a shock to her. But I think it might be interesting to see Claire's side of things and hear that side, from obviously me starting with the back in March or April. So obviously being at a point now where we're setting up a community group together, and just seeing what her thoughts are on, how I've kind of process things, and getting her take on things as well. How does she view grief, and I suppose any tips that she's got from working in her line of work, and sort of giving a bit of that knowledge on as well. We've got a guest lined up, hopefully be recording next week, so that might be airing on the Sunday. If not, it'll be the following Sunday. Got another few lined up as well. I've managed to grasp this software that I'm using now. I think the last couple of episodes, it picks up a lot of the and ers that I do, like that one, and it kind of cuts them out. It uses some sort of AI to cut those out. So sometimes when I say one of those, it will filter it out, but it'll start partway through the next word. So I think on one of the last episodes I recorded, I think it was episode 4 maybe of season 2, there was a lot of breaks, and then it would be me starting sort of partway through a word. So I suppose if you were listening to it, you'd probably just hear the end of one word and then jump straight into the next one, or partway through the next one. So it's probably a bit jumpy. But I think I've managed to sort that on episode 5. I know how to get around that, so that's going to be interesting. But obviously, if you prefer it without the ums and the ers, then let me know. Because now I've been talking about it, I can realise how often I do say them. But I do want to say a massive thank you to everyone. I think we're over or close to 500 downloads and streams across the various platforms. We're getting quite a few regular followers, getting quite a few messages regular from people who've been listening to the podcast. Want to start pushing this and promoting it. So if you are listening, please either comment on Spotify or YouTube, wherever you're watching and listening to the podcast. Share, obviously the follow and share on the social media pages and all that stuff. I do want to sort of grow it. I've been putting in some podcast groups now. Keeping an eye on people who are either looking for guests or looking to be guests. Keeping an eye out on some of those people who would probably fit the criteria of what we're looking for in terms of talking through mental health, grief, and those sort of challenges. But what I will kind of leave you at the end of this episode is with the children and young people's mental health training I was doing. The tutor on the course said something that just really stuck with me. And it was something that somebody had said to her and had stuck with her as well. And it was that if you listen to your body when it whispers, you won't have to hear it scream. So that for me, it was like, as soon as I heard that, I was like, man, that's deep. And I can see how it resonates with, both mental and physical health. There's been some things I've probably wanted to see the GP about, been putting off. And hearing her say that, and hearing some of the lads I've been speaking to recently over the last few weeks, some of the issues they've been dealing with, just made me want to reach out. Now, I've tried a couple of times. One of them I was even on the phone to the GP. I was in a queue and I just ended up hanging up, used that as an excuse to not go through with it, and then fill in the online request thing as well, and literally just stopped short of submitting it. So yeah, I don't know why, but I think anything health related now, since Taylor passed, has just been like a massive worry for me. And somebody mentioned that it's like kind of like a health anxiety where it's probably something minor, or it'll start something minor, but I won't want to get it checked out just in case it's the absolute worst case scenario. And I think I convinced myself that not knowing means, I'm not going to get a diagnosis, so I'll kind of be fine, it'll pass, it'll work itself out. But obviously in reality I know that's not the case. So hopefully by the time we get to the next episode, I'll have an update on where I've been able to see my GP. So I'm just watching this daddy long leg just fly around the room. I don't know what form of design they were, but they're the worst creature in the world, in my opinion. Absolutely hate them. Yeah, health anxiety and daddy long leg anxiety are my biggest fears at the minute. But like I said, we'll work through it. We'll find a way to push through. I will get to see him eventually. It's kind of weird because I feel like if something is wrong and I see the GP and get diagnosed with something, that in my head I've convinced myself that somehow I'm letting the kids down, and I know that won't be the case. Yeah, it's just a weird one. It's just, I've never really had that before. It's obviously only come up since Taylor's passed, but it's quite a new one for me. But we're going to leave the episode there. Like I said, we've got a few guests lined up now. We'll start recording the next week or two now. I've got this software sussed. Obviously the aim is to obviously hear people's stories, hear them talk about the loved ones they've lost, and share any tips, advice that they've got, to sort of cope and work through the grief. So if you're interested in coming on as a guest as well, please don't hesitate to drop me a message. Obviously it'll be done respectfully, but just make sure you've got a few funny anecdotes, because they're the things I really want to hear about. I think they're the things that really help us to remember the people as well. Those stories that they probably wouldn't want you to tell, but are the best stories as well. So yeah, thanks again for listening. Thanks again for everybody who's commented and reached out already. So we're at almost 500 downloads now, which is massive. So again, just always like, follow, subscribe and all that stuff. I think that's about it. So thanks again, and remember, you can get through the next minute.